So today I was going to talk about how to use email marketing to reach your customers. This is a presentation overview. We'll talk about some email stats, 5 things that you need to start a list, some different types of emails, the structure of an email, the importance of subject lines, and I have some email tips for you. Also, we'll talk about some ideas to grow your list and some email mistakes that I see, and also some benchmarks. On some of the stats, you might wonder why you should invest time in email. The email average open rate is 20%. It's a higher return on investment than some other forms of marketing, and it's also trackable. It's easier to convert buyers with email than some other forms of marketing. It requires more of a commitment on the person's part. You know, they're giving your trust, they're handing over something pretty important, their email address. There is a 1 to 3% conversion rate, and what that means is even with a small list of, let's say, 500 email subscribers, if you make an offer, the expected results you could see would be between 5 and 15 sales. So depending on the price of your offer, that could be substantial. Like if you have a $1,000 course that you're selling and you sell 5 of those, well, that's $5,000. It's the only source of traffic that you own. You don't own Instagram or Facebook or any social media. So it's important to focus your time and energy on something that you actually have some control over. It's more personal. It's a way for you to build trust and provide value, teach to your audience. You can ask them questions, inform. You can get feedback and also sell to them through email. Again, you control the frequency of communication, the content that you're putting out, the timing, and the reach. So you're not relying on an algorithm to deliver your message. There are 5 things that you need to start an email list. The first one is an email service provider. This is what you need to send email to people. There are both free and paid accounts. What I recommend is trying several. Many of them have free trials, so you can try them out and see what you like best and what works for your business. Some examples that you may have heard of before would be MailChimp, ConvertKit, Constant Contact, ActiveCampaign. Some of those are the more familiar ones. The cost is really a pretty broad range. Some of those offer accounts for free if you have a small number of subscribers and you don't need many features. And then there are much more robust programs that can cost up to $400 or more per month, depending on the number of subscribers. If you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you can expect to pay more. Or if you need lots of features, you would pay more. The second thing you need is a free offer or a lead magnet. And this is what you're going to use to attract your ideal customer. And over on the right, you'll see an example of a lead magnet that's on Marie Forleo's website. It's a free audio training, and it's suggesting that you download it. So she's offering this audio training in exchange for someone's email address. It should be fast and easy to create. It shouldn't take you weeks or months to create this. You want it to be pretty simple and easy for your readers to implement and get results. Some examples of lead magnets would be a checklist, a PDF, a how-to video, or even a chapter of an ebook that you've written. One question you can ask yourself to determine whether or not it's valuable enough for people to give up their email address is to just ask yourself, would I exchange my email address for this? And if not, come up with another idea. The third item is a landing page with an opt-in form. And again, you see the example. This is from Marie's site. This is where you would put in your name and email address in exchange for the free audio training that she's providing. You create this landing page in a software called Lead Pages. They make highly converting landing pages. It is a monthly service. Also, your email service provider, most of those offer an opportunity to create lead pages right inside there. And then also you can create a lead landing page and post that on your website. I recommend that you collect at a minimum the person's first name and the email address. You can ask people to provide more than that, but you want to keep it pretty simple and easy for them and not ask for too much information, or they may not take you up on the offer. The fourth thing you need is content. You might ask yourself, well, what do I say or write to my people? You want to be real and just have a casual conversation with them. Think about writing to one person, whoever your ideal customer or avatar is. You want to be consistent with your email. And what I mean by that is to send emails regularly, not just when you have a new offer or when you're trying to sell something. You can tell stories about yourself, your own life, and that of your customers. You can share resources that you like and use. You can repurpose blog content if you have a blog. You can ask questions and do surveys. You can also talk about customer testimonials or success that your customers have had. The email that you see on the right is the email that Marie is using to deliver that free audio download after you've signed up. The fifth thing that's really important that you want to do is have a call to action in all of your emails. You want to tell people what the next step is. You need to tell them what to do. So you can use a button or a link to do that. I recommend including the same call to action in multiple places within an email so that if they skip it the first time or two, they will have another chance at the end of the email. Some examples that you've probably seen in emails that you receive are things like download, listen to a podcast, get started now, learn more, visit my website, join a Facebook group. The example you see here from Marie is it's an encouragement to watch her Marie TV show, so the button says watch now. There are 6 different types of emails, and these are used for both projects and nurturing. Remember, I said to use them during your launches and in between for nurturing to build trust. The first one is called a soap opera or onboarding email. And this is a story format. It's very personal and it takes the reader on a journey. It also gives them the next step. The second kind of email is a Seinfeld or nurture email. It also tells a story. It's really a lot about nothing, which is where it gets the name Seinfeld, but it does relate back to your product or offer. The third type of email is called a teaser. This is where you can share new content. If you're producing videos, blogs, or podcasts, you can let your audience or your readers know about that new piece of content using a teaser email. The fourth is a launch or promotional email. This is what helps you sell. It's urgency-based and it does have a deadline. Fulfillment emails are what you use to deliver a product. You can answer questions in these emails. It will help to cut down on service calls. You can also reaffirm that they made the right purchase in this email. The last kind is the abandoned cart follow-up email. And this is an opportunity to capture lost sales. You can overcome objections and just re-engage people. This could be used if somebody puts an item in their cart and doesn't follow through with the sale, or maybe they're watching your webinar and they drop off. You can retarget them and try to capture that lost sale. There are 3 parts to an email structure. The first one is the hook. With the hook, you want to get people to stop and read the email, stop what they're doing and start reading. This could be to announce a new information. It could be something surprising that catches people off guard. The idea is to get attention with your hook. And then the bridge is the body of the story. It's where you give an explanation. In the example on the right, MailChimp is promoting a landing page workshop. The hook is that first paragraph, and then the bridge or the body is the bullet points where it's telling what you're going to learn and what you'll need. And then the call to action, the last step, is telling people to click here to sign up for the workshop. Subject lines are really important. This is your only chance of getting your email opened up. And if you're spending the time to write and format and add pictures and things to your email, you want as many of those to get opened as possible. So you want to spend time here on crafting your subject line. It's recommended that you write between 15 and 30 subject lines for one email. And I'm not suggesting that you spend loads of time on that, but pretty quickly you can kind of scratch out some headlines, and after about the first 10, you'll start getting to the good stuff. You want to grab attention without giving too much away. You want it to be pattern interrupting, which again kind of stops people scroll and gets them to take notice and read. Short and informal is good. I know I like subject lines that are just sort of no capitalization, no punctuation. You want them to be clear and also pique curiosity. Here's some ideas about where to start with headlines. You can ask a question, that's going to pique curiosity. You can use all caps, all capital letters to grab attention. Use shock value as long as you follow through on that promise in the content. You can get right to the point and use brackets and say something like "now open." You can use something that sounds too good to be true to get attention, and also use emojis. I would only recommend using one emoji in a subject line. I wouldn't go crazy with those, but they do get attention. These are some tips with email. Again, what we've talked about, starting with a high drama or a hook. You can jump right in without using a name or salutation. Make it easy to read. Use plenty of white space. What I recommend is reducing paragraphs into just 1 or 2 sentences. Leave plenty of white space so that people don't get overwhelmed and click away. I recommend reading it out loud. This is where you're going to catch mistakes. This is where you determine whether it sounds conversational or whether it's too stuffy or wordy. Also, I recommend pictures, using pictures for interest and to get attention. Using bullets and numbered lists is a good idea because it's easy for skimmers to catch those bullets. Also using big fonts and bold. Those are called speed bumps in an email, and they kind of stop the eye at the important parts as you're reading. Also repeating the call to action several times within the same email. What I recommend is that you determine your hooks, your calls to action, and your supporting content and your subject lines before you even begin writing the email. That'll make your process a lot faster if you kind of have those things worked out before you begin writing. Along the same lines, I recommend creating a sequence outline if you're going to be writing multiple emails. If you have all that worked out, it'll make the process go quicker for you. And then also, I always recommend that you step away from your writing for up to 24 hours if you have the time, because inevitably when you return to your writing, you'll find mistakes or you'll think of a way to say something differently or make it sound better. Some ideas about how to grow an email list. I recommend creating multiple freebies or opt-ins, and we talked about what that is. It's the value that you're providing in exchange for the email address. You can do this for different segments of your audience or customers. If you have different customer types where different things would appeal to them, then you can create freebies specifically for that target. You can also create a drip campaign. An example of that is a welcome sequence where that email is sent out immediately after the freebie is delivered, and goes out like maybe every couple of days. I would think at a minimum once a week, you'd want to send your your new email subscribers an email. And in that welcome sequence, you're sort of setting up the expectation, introducing yourself, letting people know what they'll receive, what kind of information you have to share. And then you can introduce your products or services. You can promote landing pages with freebie offers on your social media channels. You could be a guest on a podcast, do an interview in your niche and reach a whole new group of people interested in your product or service. You can write guest posts for websites. Again, collaborating with websites that have got your target audience. You can collaborate with brands and businesses by hosting challenges or a webinar. If you use video, you can drive people to your freebies in your live videos or recorded stories. 5 mistakes that I see in email is the boring subject lines that just simply don't get opened. Either no call to action or a weak one. No hook to draw people in and get them interested or started reading in the first place. Asking people to do more than one thing in an email can be confusing. So I recommend just that one call to action. And if you have more things that you want them to do, then that should go out in a separate email. Similarly, emails that are too long tend to get people to click away. People just don't have time for really lengthy emails. So I recommend that you break those up into multiple emails as well. These are some benchmarks. You might wonder, well, I'm sending these emails, how am I doing? Within your email service provider, you should be able to find these stats. The first one is your open rate, which is the percentage of your list that's opening your emails. The second one is your click rate, which is the percentage of the list that actually takes action within an email by clicking on a button or a link. And then your sales rate is the percentage of your list that is buying something that you offer. If you want to improve your open rates, what you want to look at is your headlines and the day and time that the emails are being sent. Those are the things that affect your open rates. Click rates, if you want to try and improve those, you could look at making your call to action stronger or more clear. And then with sales rates, to improve those, you want to sort of revisit your objections and make sure that you've addressed the objections and overcome them in your emails. So that is my presentation. If anybody has questions, I can take those now. And then I also have my contact information if you want to follow up later.